All right, in this video I'm working on the old 84 K10 square body, and I'm just going to kind of work on it and kind of just do what comes to me and see how far I can get. All right, there's Jake. Jake, you helping me, buddy? You going to lend a hand, or are you going to lay there and sleep? It's really hot this time of year for him. He gets really overheated, so he loves to lay on that concrete floor. But there's my door panels there, and I've got some other parts up here. I'm kind of a mess right now, but I've started to do some work on the truck to get it ready for, I guess, sanding, painting, and all that. And like I said, this is not the final paint job. This is just a temporary paint job just to get it all one color, because I've got tan here, I've got kind of an orangish red here, I've got red there, and of course this gray color. I got a white tailgate. So that's what I'm dealing with, and that's why I want to get it to be just all one color. I think it'll look 10 times better. Now, in addition to that, I'm also going to clean up and paint these fender wells. I'm going to put new shocks on the truck, because the shocks that it has they don't have bushings. So missing a key component there. Clean up these fender wells. I have not decided 100% what I'm going to do with these fenders, because these fenders are definitely cut, and I don't know if I'm going to replace them. They're not super expensive to replace, and that might be worth it. So I'm probably going to sand those last and sand the rest of the truck first. So if I do make the decision to replace the fenders, then I'm good. Now, started sanding up here just a little bit. Really turned out pretty nice. Got down to some bare metal right there, and you can kind of see the different layers of paint. But this hood is definitely gold, tan, whatever you want to call it. And I've got my headlights out, my grill out, and I've also got the front bumper off. And I did that obviously for preparation to paint, but I also want to do a little bit of cosmetic work on that bumper and make that thing look a little bit better. All right, so here's the bumper off the truck, and love this bumper. I really, really like it. I love it's a homemade bumper. I get it, it's a Winch bumper, but it looks really good on the truck. Kind of fits the era, and love the big hooks. And I just want to clean it up, sand it down, at least get some primer on it. And I want to do a few things to it, like this metal here is really all unnecessary. The mount is there, and there. So all of this kind of hangs down below the front of the truck and doesn't look good. So I'm going to cut that off, and I'm going to do that on both sides. Kind of roughly marked it out where I want to cut it. I'm probably going to box in the end over there, just on the ends, on the corners where you can see it from the side of the truck. So over here on the top, I know that this is a winch bumper. I'm probably not going to put a winch on the truck. So I'm probably going to put a plate of steel over the top of this, and just kind of complete that look. I'm going to fill in these holes with weld, and you can see I've already been grinding a little bit, just trying to make it look a little bit better, clean it up a little bit. And the front, I don't think I'm going to do much to this front. I'm not crazy about that hole. It's kind of crooked the way it was cut. And we got a bunch of extra holes here that I'll fill in with weld. I think I am going to leave this just in case I do want to add a winch later, which I doubt, but if I do, it's there. And I'll just put a license plate on the front of the bumper there. So I think I can make this bumper look a lot better just by just from cleaning it up, priming it, and painting it. I also ordered a hoop that's going to go, if you can visualize that, it's going to kind of come out like this. It looks like a pre-runner hoop, but I'm going to mount it straight up and down. Really will look good on this truck and this bumper, I think. And that's it. I may take it up to Line X. I had some good experiences Line Xing parts of my Jeep, and I Line X my front bumper, and I really like the way that that's held up on my Jeep. So I may end up taking it up to Line X and getting it done up there instead of me painting it myself. The Line X will kind of forgive a lot of these little issues that this thing has, because it's a nice thick coating. It'll kind of fill in some of these areas here, and I think it would look really, really good on the front of that truck. All right, so fast forward about 2, maybe 3 weeks from where I just left off on the video, and I've got new wheels and tires. These are Wrangler Goodyear, or Goodyear Wranglers, whatever, mud tires, 35 1250s. And I just got some, actually bought the tires used on Facebook Marketplace. They're brand new tires, but they're used. Guy bought them for his Jeep and never put them on. so they've never been mounted on a rim, and they're a couple years old, but they've been stored indoors, and I got a really good price for them. Really happy about that whole deal. Got some cheapy steel wheels there, but I think they kind of fit the era of this truck and the look of it, and look great. I love the way they look. To me, I think they look better than those Swampers. And those Swampers were, you know, they were, I'm not going to say they were dry rotted, because they weren't, but they were, man, they'd seen their better days. So these tires look, to me, appropriate for the truck, and I think they look really good. All right, so I've got the hood off the truck, and I've been working on it and sanding a little bit on it. Doing a little bit of, I hate Bondo, but man, there was a pretty deep scratch right there, and let me show it to you a little bit better. Really deep scratch right there, and that Bondo is the only way to cover that up. I'm gonna weld those holes in eventually, but I have started, obviously you can see, I've started sanding on this hood. All right, so here's this side of the truck, and the wheels and tires look great. The you know, the stance of the truck overall just looks amazing. I love it. And I didn't mention this earlier, but when we put these rear tires on, I did do a 1.5 inch spacer. And I know there's a whole Ford versus Chevy debate on spacers, wheel spacers, but to me, when you look down the side of the truck, let me get a good angle here, about like that. I mean, it looks good that they're the same, because the factory half tons, the 12-bolt rear ends are about 3 inches shorter, 3 inches more narrow than the front, and so it just kind of looks weird. And the 1.5 inch wheel spacers on each side solves for that. All right, so not gonna lie, I've been really obsessed with this front bumper, and I've done a lot of work to it, a lot of just filling in stuff, and man, but I got the hoop in the other day, which is what you see there, and it's kind of a pre-runner kit. I ordered it from a company called Affordable Off-Road, and they send it to you kind of bare steel, and you weld it in yourself. And you have to make sure, if you're gonna have a flush mount, I don't want to zoom in too close on my welds, I don't want you guys to critique my welds, so if you order one of these things, make sure you order it with a flush mount, because they're pre-cut to be a pre-runner hoop, which basically means that it's going to stick way out to the right of the front bumper. And I think you can kind of envision, you see that on a lot of Jeeps and stuff, but on this truck I wanted it to be straight up and down 90 degrees, and I think I feel like I nailed it. I feel like it's really well done, and it just looks, it looks so good. So another thing that I ended up doing was filling in that cutout there, and I don't know if you can see that. Hang on, let me get a light. All right, so you can see that a little bit better now, but there's the fill-in that I did, and I didn't do a lot of cleanup on this side because it's the back side of the bumper, but from the front it looks really good. But I did decide to go ahead and cut a 1/4 inch plate steel piece, fit it in there, held it on with some magnets, and welded that in and covered that hole up. And the reason I did that is because if this is going to be a winch bumper for me or somebody else, not that I'll ever sell this truck, but you're going to mount your winch right here, and then you're going to drill, you're going to have to cut out a hole right here, right? And then this hoop protects the winch. The way that they had this set up before, it wasn't really right, because this plate can't be any bigger than that, because it interferes with where you mount the bumper to the frame, and you can't fit a winch on that little space right there. So now with this plate welded on, you can put a full-size winch here, and they're pretty streamlined these days, particularly the one on my Jeep. And then if you really want a winch, you can put one here, and then again, you got to cut that fair lead hole out right there. But that's not something I'm planning to do to the truck. Don't have any plans for a winch, but I'm very happy with the bumper. I did close these ends in. I boxed these in, just welded those in, and here's the other side. So that's going to look really good from the outside of the truck. I can't wait to get this thing mounted on the truck. I love this front bumper. I probably put 10 to 15 hours into this thing. Of grinding down and filling in holes, welding, boxing, the hoop, and I think it looks great. I think I'm going to get it Linexed, as I said in my previous video, and I've been real happy with the way that my Jeep front bumper looks with the Linex on it, and I think this one will certainly benefit from it, and I think it's going to look great on the truck. Alright, so I have kind of started doing some of the body work on this truck, and this thing was a total cheese grater and looked like Swiss cheese. So I've started to fill in some of these holes, and eventually I'm going to have this bed Linexed, and I'll have the Linex come across the top rails, and so these, you know, less than perfect welds of mine, of course, will not be seen, and you'll be able to, it'll be really nice and smooth. But I did start working on this all the way down because there was so many holes, and I just welded them all shut. Let me show you the other side for a comparison, a reference. All right, so just for a comparison, this is the driver's side bed rail, and look how many holes are in this thing. And the other side was the same way. So obviously over the years, people have drilled holes to put various accessories on here or whatever, but I started on that side. I got that side filled in, welded down, and then primed, and looks a heck of a lot better. And like I said, the Linex will cover it up eventually. All right, so fast forward another week or two, and I did make the decision to replace the fenders and the inner fenders. The main reason that I want to do this is just because the fenders are cut, and you can see right here. That's just a one of those nut things, but yeah, cut job right there, and same thing on this side right here. And you know, not even a really good cut job. I've seen some trimmed up fenders that look really nice, and just didn't want to mess with these, didn't want to deal with them, and just ended up ordering new fenders and new inner wheel wells. There's two of them, but one is missing. My buddy Matt stole it because there's the birds. My buddy Matt stole it because the inner fender on his passenger side, right because of the battery, is all rotted. So he's taken mine to clean it up and put it in his truck. But overall, really happy with what I see under here. Also gives me really easy access to these door hinges, which I've got new ones of, because this one is really bad. And everything looks pretty good. So like I said, really happy with everything. Everything looks really good. No surprises at all. In fact, I'm pleasantly surprised with just how clean and good everything looks, and really rust free. I mean, there's some rust on this truck, but there is not much, and it's turning out to be a pretty solid truck. Might have to invest in a new charcoal canister. That one is I don't think that's going to work properly. All right, so not uncommon is the battery box rusted. My 78 Camaro battery box was trashed just like this one, and this thing is beyond repair. So I've already ordered, well, I shouldn't say it's beyond repair, it's beyond for the cost of it. I think I've got a new one for about 40 bucks, so pretty fair, rather than investing all the time it would take to fix all this, and who knows what you'll find under there as far as solid metal. It's pretty rough shape. So I got my hood in the basement here so I can work on it, and I haven't done much with it, but now I've got to fill in these holes because I'm not going to put that, you know, the hood ornament on there. So I've got to work on that. I've got to sand down this little bit of body filler I used right here to cover up a pretty deep scratch. And then as far as the trim goes on the front grille, I've started kind of experimenting with different paints, and this is actually just a Rust-Oleum semi-gloss. And I put a coat of, I etched it, I scratched it with sandpaper, put primer on it, and then painted it with a couple of coats of Rust-Oleum semi-gloss. And I got this idea actually from Matt. He did his whole grill like that, and it just turned out awesome. So I'm stealing his, he stole my inner fender, so I'm stealing his idea with the black semi-gloss paint for the front grille. All right, so I know that video was kind of all over the place, and just touching on things here and there, and then making decisions. I actually filmed this over the course of about 3 or 4 weeks, so I've made some decisions, particularly with the fenders, as I kind of walked through this time frame, and as I started working on things, and I really started to look at the current fenders that are on there, and the way that they're cut, and the amount of work that it would take to make those look good. I just like I said, made the decision to get the new fenders. I did buy the premium fenders from LMC Trucks, so I'm anxious to see how they compare to the original stamping and the original thickness of the OEM steel, because my experience with replacement panels and patches are they're just never the same quality as you get on these old trucks like this. So we'll see when they come in. They haven't got here yet, but I'll do another video on that when I put the new fenders on. I'm gonna get busy. I got a lot of work to do. I'm gonna work on this hood, and then I gotta essentially sand down the whole truck. I gotta put the new door hinges on. So I've got a lot of work to do to kind of complete phase one of this restoration. All right, so really appreciate you tuning in, checking out the video. Glad you're following along with this square body build. It's gonna be a lot of fun. Thank you for your support, and as always, thanks for watching.